Chapter 1. Mitchell McDeere. Mitchell McDeere was 25 years old. He was a smart law student at Harvard. He was one of the best in his class. Soon he would finish school. Mitch had a beautiful wife, Abby. He was tall, good-looking, and healthy. He did not drink too much or take drugs. He wanted a good life. He wanted money, a big house, and a fast car. A law firm in Memphis called Bendini, Lambert Locke wanted Mitch. The bosses of the firm had a big file about him. They knew everything. Mitch grew up poor in Kentucky. His father died when he was young. His mother wasted money. His older brother died in a war. Only his other brother, Ray, helped him. Mitch worked hard at school and played football. He got a scholarship and became the best student in his class. Now he had job offers from New York and Chicago. The best offer was $76,000 a year. But the Memphis firm wanted him. The first meeting was in a hotel near Harvard. The firm's boss, Oliver Lambert, and a lawyer named Lamar Quinn met Mitch. They offered him $80,000, a BMW car, and helped to buy a house. Mitch was excited. Lambert invited him to Memphis. He would send plane tickets. That night, Mitch and Abby talked about the offer. $80,000 in Memphis is like $120,000 in New York, Mitch said. We can buy everything we want. In 2 years, I will make more money. In 10 years, I can be a partner and earn $500,000. Abby smiled. Who wants to live in New York? Memphis sounds better. She thought about their old car and a new big house. She also dreamed of having babies. Mitch explained more. The firm does tax law. It is very rich. The lawyers are happy and stay there for a long time. They rarely leave. Abby was excited. Let's go to Memphis, she said. Chapter 2. Bendini, Lambert Locke. The law firm of Bendini, Lambert Locke, was in Memphis. It had a big office in an old building. The firm was rich and secret. The founder, Mr. Bendini, built the firm many years ago. He wanted everything private. Before he died, he put cameras and security systems in the building. Only some lawyers could enter special rooms. The firm made a lot of money, but it was also very quiet. The lawyers were told never to talk about the firm outside work. If they did, they would never become partners. Everything at the firm was a secret. Wives were told not to ask questions. If they did, the husbands lied to them. The firm wanted loyal workers. The lawyers had to work hard, keep quiet, and spend money. Mitch visits the firm. Mitch arrived at the firm's building. Lamar Quinn, a lawyer, welcomed him. In the second-floor library, Oliver Lambert introduced Mitch to everyone. After that, Lamar showed Mitch around. The firm had many books. Every floor had a library, so the lawyers never had to leave. The office was big and modern. Each floor had a large open space with secretaries working at desks. On one side was the library. On the other side were offices and meeting rooms. Big offices with city views were for partners. Mitch looked at the secretaries. Lamar smiled. We do not hire young, pretty secretaries, Lamar said. We want happy marriages. We want families. Mitch was surprised. Are wives not allowed to work? They can, Lamar said. But the firm prefers if they don't. Mitch changed the subject. Does every lawyer get a secretary? Yes, but only one. Lamar explained, when you become a partner, you get two. Nathan Locke, an important partner, has 3 secretaries. Do we work long hours? Mitch asked. Lamar laughed. At first, 80 hours a week. During tax season, 100 hours. What about vacations? Only 2 weeks a year, Lamar said. But the firm has beach houses in the Cayman Islands. You can go there, if a partner doesn't want it first. The lunch meeting. Mitch had lunch with the partners on the 5th floor. They praised him. He wanted a beer but noticed that nobody was drinking alcohol. The firm did not like drinking at work. We want responsible lawyers, Lambert said. No drinking during work hours. Mitch agreed. He wanted to be successful. After lunch, he met Royce McKnight, another boss. They talked about his job and contract. At the end of the day, Mitch had decided this was the best job offer in the country. Chapter 3. The 5th floor. The Bendini building had 5 floors. The first 4 floors had law offices and libraries. But the 5th floor was different. There were no law offices on the 5th floor. At one end, there was a special dining room for partners. The center had empty rooms. Then there was a wall with a metal door. Above the door was a camera. Next to it was a button. Only certain people could go inside. Behind the door was a security room. A guard watched the cameras all day. A hallway led to small offices. These rooms were for men who watched and listened. There were no windows in these rooms. The walls were painted so no one could see inside. The biggest office belonged to Devasher, the head of security. A secret meeting. On Monday, Oliver Lambert stood in front of the metal door. He pushed the button and looked at the camera. The door opened and he walked inside. He went to Devasher's office. They started talking about Mitch McDear. He is not a problem, Devasher said. He will not cause trouble. Then he played a recording of a phone call. It was from Mitch's hotel room in Memphis. On the call, Mitch was talking to his wife, Abby. He was loving and kind. See? They are like a happy couple, Devasher said. He smiled in a strange way. I will try to get bedroom pictures later. She is beautiful. Shut up, Devasher, Lambert said. He looked serious. I wish we could find his brother, Ray, Lambert said. We know everything about his family, but we don't know where Ray is. Don't worry, Devasher said. We will find him. Trouble in the firm. Then Devasher opened another big file. It was about 2 lawyers in the firm, Kaczynski and Hodge. There is a problem, Ollie, he said. Kaczynski and Hodge are talking to the FBI. Lambert looked shocked. Are you sure? Yes. The FBI found our microphones in Kaczynski's house. Now they are very careful. Which FBI agent is talking to them? Lambert asked. His name is Terrence, Devasher said. He has met Kaczynski 4 times in the last month. How much have they told the FBI? Not much yet, Devasher said. But they are scared. What does Chicago say? Lambert asked. They are worried. They want a meeting. What do they want to do? They want to get rid of Kaczynski and Hodge, and maybe even Terrence. Lambert's face turned pale. Are you crazy? We can't kill an FBI agent. Chicago thinks we should. No. That is too dangerous, Lambert said. We will watch Mitch for another month. Okay, Ollie, but don't worry. Devasher smiled. Chapter 4. Sad News. When Mitch and Abby moved to Memphis, they stayed with Lamar and Kay Quinn. The two couples became friends. Mitch and Abby found a house on East Meadowbrook Street. It was big, comfortable, and beautiful. They were very happy. Abby bought new furniture. Mitch drove his new black BMW around the city. Life was perfect. One Thursday night, Mitch and Abby drove to Lamar and Kay's house for dinner. On the way, Mitch joked, "Now that you have bought so much furniture, what's next?" Abby laughed. "Maybe babies?" "Slow down. Let me get used to the job first," Mitch said. Abby smiled. Mitch looked at her legs. "Did I tell you today that you are beautiful?" he asked. 2 hours ago, Abby said. "That's too long," Mitch said. "Don't forget again," Abby joked. They arrived at the Quinn's house. Kay opened the door. Her eyes were red. She had been crying. "Kay, what's wrong?" Abby asked. Kay wiped her eyes. "Something terrible happened," she said. "Who?" Mitch asked. Kay took a deep breath. "2 lawyers from the firm are dead." Mitch remembered them, Marty Kaczynski and Joe Hodge. "What happened?" he asked. "No one knows exactly," Kay said. "They were on Grand Cayman. They were diving. There was an explosion on their boat." "Did they drown?" Mitch asked. "Yes. A boatman also died," Kay said. "The firm had a meeting today. Everyone is very sad. Lamar can't even talk." "Where is he?" Mitch asked. "By the swimming pool. He is waiting for you," Kay said. Mitch went to the pool. Lamar was sitting alone. His face was sad. His eyes were red. Mitch sat next to him. He waited. Lamar tried to speak, but no words came out. Finally, Mitch said, "Lamar, I am so sorry. I don't know what to say." Lamar shook his head. He looked deeply hurt. "Marty Kaczynski was my best friend," he whispered. "He was going to be the next partner. He was a great lawyer. Our kids played together." Mitch didn't know what to say. Mitch and Abby drove home in silence. 4 days later, Mitch did not go to work. Instead, he and Abby went to the funeral. All 39 lawyers in the firm were there with their wives. Oliver Lambert gave a speech. His words were so emotional that Mitch almost cried. Abby's eyes filled with tears. She looked at the widows and children. She felt their pain. Something was not right. Chapter 5. Long Hours. Mitch started working with Avery Tollison, a hardworking partner. Avery taught him how to charge clients. Mitch could charge $100 an hour. Avery told him a secret. Even if you think about a case while driving, charge an hour. Some lawyers billed 12 hours a day, even if they worked less. Avery didn't follow all the rules. He drank alcohol, looked at women, and his marriage was failing. Mitch ignored it. He only cared about success. He wanted to be a partner fast. People said Nathan Locke started work at 6 a.m. Mitch wanted to be better. On his first day, he arrived at 5:30 a.m. No one was there. He made coffee and worked. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. "Good morning." Mitch turned. A man stood at the door. "You scared me," Mitch said. "I'm Nathan Locke," the man said. Mitch shook hands. Locke's eyes were cold and dark. Mitch felt uneasy. I see you wake up early, Locke said. Yes, sir. Good. Welcome to the firm. Locke left. A few days later, Devasher, Lambert, and Locke had a meeting. He works too much. No one can do 100 hours a week forever, Lambert said. How is his wife? Locke asked. Not happy, Devasher said. She cooks, but he eats outside. He is never home. That will change. Chicago is worried. They want secret microphones in every associate's house. That's too much, Lambert said. Chicago doesn't think so, Devasher said. And we found McDeer's brother. Where is he? Brushy Mountain Prison. He killed a man in a bar fight. Got 15 years. Served 4 years. McDeer visited him last Sunday. Devasher smiled. We can use this against him someday. Chapter 6. A tiny microphone, Mitch worked like a machine. He needed little sleep. No matter how much work Avery gave him, he finished it. Sometimes he worked all night and went home only for a quick shower before returning to the office. Abby was unhappy. One Saturday, Oliver Lambert invited Mitch, Abby, Lamar, and a few other associates to dinner at Justine's, a fancy restaurant. While they ate, 2 men quietly entered Mitch's BMW in the parking lot. They drove to Mitch's house. They had a key. Inside the house, they worked fast and in silence. They placed tiny microphones inside the phones. These microphones sent signals to a secret receiver hidden under the roof. The men drilled small holes in every room and placed more microphones inside. These hidden wires connected everything to the receiver, which looked like an old broken radio. If someone found it, they would think it was trash. Just as the main course was served at Justine's, the BMW quietly returned to the parking lot. The men locked the car and left. Next, they would go to the Mahan's house to do the same job. On the 5th floor of the Bendini building, Devasher watched a row of lights on a panel. One of the lights blinked yellow. He put on headphones and pushed record. Suddenly, a green light labeled McD6 turned on. It was Mitch's bedroom. He listened to their private conversation and smiled. He had full control now. Chapter 7. Terrence. On the first Monday in August, the firm held a special meeting in the main library. All the lawyers were there. The room was quiet and sad. Beth Kaczynski and Laura Hodge, the widows of the 2 dead lawyers, sat at the front. Oliver Lambert gave a speech. He spoke softly but clearly. He said the firm would always take care of the widows. He talked about Marty and Joe, their hard work, and their love for their families. The widows cried. Some lawyers, including Lamar Quinn, wiped their tears. After the meeting, Mitch looked at the pictures of the dead lawyers. There were 3 other photos on the wall. One was of Alice Knauss. She was the only woman who ever worked at the firm. She died in a car crash. The other 2, Robert Lamb and John Mickle, also died in strange accidents. Mitch asked Avery about them. Lamb was hunting in Arkansas. He never came back. They found him later, shot in the head. Mickle shot himself in 1984. Mitch thought, 5 dead lawyers in 15 years? That's not normal. Mitch worked long hours. The partners were happy. They gave him extra money. Abby got a teaching job to stay busy. But she was lonely. Mitch was becoming a legend at the firm, but she didn't want a legend. She wanted a husband. One day, Mitch went to Lansky's cafe for lunch. It was small and quiet. He liked it because no one from the firm came there. He was reading when a man stopped at his table. "You're McDear, right?" the man said. Mitch looked up. The man had short hair and wore a cheap suit. His accent sounded New York. "Who are you?" Mitch asked. The man pulled out a badge. "Wayne Terrence, FBI." He smiled. "Sit down," Mitch said. Terrence sat. "We watch your firm closely," he said. "Why?" Mitch asked. "I can't tell you yet, but listen carefully. 3 things. 1, don't trust anyone. 2, your house and office are bugged. 3, money doesn't grow on trees." Mitch stared at him. "What do you mean?" "I can't explain now, but we'll meet again. Call me only from a payphone. Here's my number." Terrence stood up. "One more thing, McDear. Kaczynski and Hodges' deaths were no accident." Then he walked away. Mitch sat frozen. What was happening? Chapter 8. 4 people, 3 of them dead. On Sunday, Mitch visited his brother Ray in prison. He wanted information. "Do you remember a private investigator named Eddie Lomax?" Mitch asked. "Yeah, he was a cop in Memphis before. I saved him once in prison. Now he works as a private investigator," Ray said. Mitch asked for his contact. "Why do you need him?" Ray asked. "A friend suspects his wife is cheating," Mitch lied. Mitch met Eddie Lomax the next day. Eddie's secretary Tammy was an attractive woman. She kept looking at Mitch while he waited. Finally, Eddie invited Mitch inside. "I need information on 3 dead lawyers," Mitch said. He explained the deaths of Kaczynski, Hodge, and Alice Knaus. "Their deaths seem suspicious. I want to know if there's something more," Mitch said. Lomax nodded. "Sounds interesting. And the 4th person?" he asked. "Wayne Terrence. He's an FBI agent," Mitch said. Lomax raised an eyebrow. "FBI? That'll cost more," he said. "No problem, but this must stay secret. Don't call me at home or work. I think I'm being watched," Mitch warned. Lomax smiled. "I understand. I'll find what you need." Chapter 9. Grand Cayman. Mitch and Avery flew to the Cayman Islands for a business trip. It was Mitch's first time leaving the country. Avery explained that Grand Cayman had only 18,000 people, but 12,000 businesses and 300 banks, because it was a tax haven. They stayed in the firm's private apartments on 7 Mile Beach. That night, they went to Rumhead's, a bar on the beach. Avery drank a lot and flirted with women. A beautiful woman approached Mitch, but he walked away. Later, on the beach, another woman tempted him. The next morning, they visited the Royal Bank of Montreal for business. Afterward, Mitch noticed a man following him. He had seen the same car earlier near the bank. To avoid being followed, Mitch went into a library and read a newspaper article about the explosion that killed Kaczynski and Hodge. He then took a taxi to Abanks Diving School to meet Barry Abanks, the father of the boatman who also died. Abanks said the accident was strange. His son, Philip, was an experienced diver. He never reported engine trouble or changed locations without using the radio. Yet, his boat was found far from its original location. The explosion seemed suspicious. Meanwhile, in Memphis, Devasher looked at high-quality photos of Mitch with the woman on the beach. He smiled. Now we own you, McDear. Chapter 10. Dangerous Waters. Mitch met Eddie Lomax on a rainy night at a bridge. Eddie had new information. All three dead lawyers, Alice Knaus, Robert Lamb, and John Mickle, died under suspicious circumstances. Alice Knaus was hit by a stolen truck. The driver ran away and was never found. Robert Lamb's body was found in a part of the forest where hunters never go. Mickle shot himself, but the gun he used was an old criminal weapon, not something a lawyer would have. Eddie said, "Your firm has lost 5 lawyers in 15 years. That's not normal. You could be next." Mitch felt uneasy. Later, Mitch took Abby to a French restaurant, but noticed someone watching them. He quickly left with Abby through the back door and took her to a bar. He told her everything about the FBI, the bugged house, and the dead lawyers. Abby was shocked. "Do you expect me to live in a house full of secret microphones?" she asked. Mitch told her they had to act normal or they would be in danger. Chapter 11. A professional job. Eddie Lomax was murdered. His secretary, Tammy, was scared. She left a note on Mitch's house saying, "Meet me at Ernie's bar. It's about Eddie Lomax. Very important." Late at night, Mitch went to Ernie's bar. Tammy arrived soon after. She looked terrified. Mitch asked, "What happened to Eddie?" Tammy looked around nervously and said, "We need to talk somewhere safe. Not here." They got into Tammy's car and started driving. She took a deep breath and said, "Eddie told me about you. He said lawyers from your firm keep dying." Mitch felt uneasy. "What else did he say?" Tammy hesitated, then continued. "A few days before he died, Eddie thought someone was following him. He was good at his job. If someone followed him, they were professionals, just like the killer." Mitch stayed quiet. Tammy whispered, "I'm scared, Mitch. I haven't been back to the office since Eddie was killed. They might think I know something." Mitch nodded. "You should leave town. Disappear for a while." Tammy agreed. "My husband is a singer. We can move somewhere new, but I need to keep in touch with you." Mitch thought for a moment. "Write me letters, but don't use your name. Sign them as Doris." Tammy nodded. "Do they read your mail too?" Mitch sighed. "Probably, Doris. Probably." Chapter 12. Denton Voiles. Mitch went to Washington for a tax conference. Devasher didn't want him to go, but he had no excuse to stop him. At the conference, an FBI agent passed Mitch a note from Denton Voiles, the FBI director. It said, "Meet me at lunch. Follow Grant Harbison's instructions." Harbison, another FBI agent, told Mitch, "2 men from your firm are following you. They are staying in the hotel room next to yours." Mitch was shocked. At lunch, a special taxi took Mitch to a secret hotel. Inside, Wayne Terrence and Denton Voiles were waiting. Voiles said, "Mitch, what I'm about to tell you will shock you, but it's the truth. Your law firm is owned by the Marolto crime family, the Mafia. No lawyer has ever left alive." Mitch was stunned. Voiles explained, "The firm launders dirty Mafia money through the Cayman Islands. They recruit young lawyers, Pay them well and trap them. The firm is spying on you because they know you are starting to question things, Mitch asked. Then why don't you just arrest them? Voiles said, We need proof. That's where you come in. We need bank records, files, and client names. We need you to become our witness. Mitch hesitated. If I refuse, Voiles warned, then we'll arrest you along with them. But if you help us, we'll give you money, protection, and a new life. Mitch knew he had no way out. Chapter 13. Shopping for shoes. Mitch returned to Memphis, and Abby picked him up from the airport. At a bar, he told her everything about the FBI, the mafia, and how the firm traps lawyers. Abby was scared. Mitch noticed a man from his Washington hotel watching them. The firm was following him everywhere. A week later, Terrence met Mitch while he was walking. They went inside a shoe store to talk. Terrence started saying, "It's time to decide," but suddenly stopped. He saw someone watching them from outside. He whispered, "Push me and run back to your office." Mitch did as Terrence said. As soon as they stepped outside, he shoved Terrence and ran. He immediately reported the FBI contact to the firm. In Lambert's office, Mitch told his story. He acted nervous and scared. Lambert and Locke pretended to comfort him but were actually testing him. Later, in Devasher's office, the firm's security team discussed the situation. A spy had watched Mitch and Terrence in the shoe store. "Something is wrong," Devasher said. "McDear is lying. We need to watch him more closely." That night, Devasher visited Mitch in his office. He handed him an envelope. Inside were black and white photos. Mitch on the beach in the Cayman Islands with another woman. Devasher smiled. "We have more copies. We don't want to use them, but if you ever talk to the FBI again, we'll send them to your wife." Mitch realized he was completely trapped. Chapter 14. Tammy's secret. Mitch was trapped. The firm had blackmail photos of him. The mafia was watching. The FBI wanted his help. He needed a way out. He decided to find Tammy. Eddie Lomax had trusted her, and she might have useful information. He sent a message to her through a secret note, signing it Doris, the code name they had agreed on. Tammy agreed to meet him at a hotel. She looked scared but determined. Mitch asked, "Did Eddie ever collect files on the firm?" Tammy nodded. "Yes, Eddie kept them in a metal lockbox at his office. He told me to take it if something happened to him." Mitch's heart raced. "Where is it?" he asked. Tammy whispered, "It's in my car." They went outside. Tammy opened the trunk and took out the metal box. Inside were documents, photos, and notes about the firm's illegal activities. Mitch realized this could be the proof the FBI needed. Chapter 15. The Metal Box. Mitch and Tammy sat in the car, looking at Eddie Lomax's metal box. Inside were files, photographs, and notes Eddie had collected about the firm. He had been investigating them secretly before he was killed. Mitch found records of Cayman Island bank transactions, names of mafia clients, and evidence of money laundering. It was exactly what the FBI needed. Tammy said, "Eddie told me the firm was dangerous. He was planning to tell someone, but they got to him first." Mitch knew he had to be careful. If the firm found out about this, he would be dead. He told Tammy, "Hide these papers somewhere safe. Don't let anyone see them. I will contact you soon." Tammy agreed and left. Mitch now had the key to his escape, but he had to play smart, or he wouldn't survive. Chapter 16. A Race Against Time. Mitch knew he had proof against the firm, but using it was dangerous. He had to act carefully. He met Terrence at a parking garage and told him about Eddie Lomax's files. Terrence was excited but warned Mitch, "The firm and the mafia won't let you go easily." Mitch asked, "What do I get in return?" Terrence explained, "The FBI will give you money, protection, and a new identity. But we need all the documents, bank records, client names, everything." Mitch didn't fully trust the FBI, but he had no other choice. He said, "I need time to get everything." Terrence agreed but warned, "Move fast. The firm is watching you closely." Mitch left, feeling the walls closing in. If he made one mistake, he would be dead. Chapter 17. The Plan. Mitch knew he had to escape the firm before they caught him. He met Tammy and told her to make copies of all Eddie Lomax's documents. He warned her, "Be careful. If the firm finds out, we're both dead." Tammy agreed and started making multiple copies in secret. Meanwhile, Mitch acted normal at work. He smiled, worked long hours, and pretended he wasn't hiding anything. But inside, he was terrified. One day, Terrence left a secret message for Mitch. "The firm is getting suspicious. Be ready to run." Mitch now knew. He had very little time left. Chapter 18. A dangerous discovery. Mitch secretly searched for more files in the firm's records. He carefully accessed confidential client lists and copied important bank details. He hid the papers in a locker at the train station, away from his house or office. Meanwhile, Devasher and his men were watching him. They noticed his strange behavior. Devasher told Nathan Locke, "McDear is hiding something. We need to act soon." At the same time, Mitch met Terrence again. The FBI told him, "We can protect you, but you need to give us everything now." Mitch said, "I need a little more time." The FBI agreed, but Mitch felt the danger growing closer. Chapter 19. The net closes. The firm now fully suspected Mitch. Devasher increased surveillance and told his men, "If he tries to run, stop him." They even placed more microphones in his house and office. Mitch acted calm but knew he was in serious danger. Abby noticed his stress and asked, "What's wrong?" Mitch finally told her, "We have to run soon. The firm and the mafia won't let me leave alive." That night, Mitch received a mysterious call. It was Tammy. She whispered, "They're watching me too. We have to move fast." Mitch now knew. He had no more time. Chapter 20. The Escape Plan. Mitch knew he had very little time. He met Tammy and gave her money and instructions. "Go to the Caymans, get access to the firm's bank records, and take photos of every transaction," he told her. Tammy was scared but agreed. Meanwhile, Devasher and his men were watching Mitch closely. They were waiting for him to slip up. At home, Mitch told Abby, "Pack your bags. We're leaving soon." Abby was nervous but trusted him. Mitch then met Terrence and made his demand. "I'll give you the evidence. but I need $2 million and protection for Abby, Ray, and me. Terrence agreed but warned, "The mafia is watching you closely. If they suspect anything, they'll act fast." Mitch now had one chance to escape, and no room for mistakes. Chapter 21. Trouble in the Caymans. Tammy reached Grand Cayman and followed Mitch's plan. She befriended Avery's secretary and managed to enter his office. While pretending to look for files, she secretly took photos of the firm's illegal bank transactions and money laundering records. As she left the office, she felt someone watching her. A man was following her through the streets. She quickly sent the photos to Mitch before escaping into a crowded shopping area. Back in Memphis, Devasher got a report. A woman was seen near our files in the Caymans. He immediately suspected Mitch and told Nathan Locke, "If McDear is betraying us, we need to act fast." Mitch now had the proof he needed, but the firm was closing in on him. Chapter 22. A deadly warning. Mitch received Tammy's package. Photos of illegal transactions, bank accounts, and proof of the firm's connection to the mafia. He knew this was enough to destroy the firm, but he had to be careful. He met Terrence and showed him part of the evidence. Terrence was impressed. "This is solid proof, but we need all of it. We need every client name and every transaction." Mitch replied, "I will get the rest, but first, I need protection for me, Abby, and Ray." Meanwhile, Devasher and his team confirmed that Mitch was working against them. "McDear is a traitor," Devasher told Nathan Locke. "We need to take care of him before he runs." Locke made a final decision. If McDear tries to escape or contacts the FBI again, kill him. Mitch didn't know it yet, but his time was running out fast. Chapter 23. The pressure increases. Mitch was now in serious danger. He had proof against the firm, but the mafia was watching his every move. He continued working at the office, pretending everything was normal, while secretly gathering more documents. Terrence met Mitch again and warned him. "The firm knows something is wrong. You need to act now." Mitch replied, "I still need more files. Once I have everything, we'll make the deal." Meanwhile, Devasher and Locke were losing patience. "McDear is hiding something. If he tries to run, we'll stop him permanently," Locke said. They placed more men to watch him and tapped more of his calls. Mitch knew his escape had to be perfect. One mistake could mean death. Chapter 24. The final pieces. Mitch continued acting normal at work while secretly copying more files. He needed every document to prove the firm's connection to the mafia. Meanwhile, Devasher and Locke increased their surveillance. "McDear is up to something. He hasn't made a mistake yet, but he will soon," Devasher said. They assigned more men to follow him day and night. Mitch met Terrence again and gave him more evidence. Terrence was impressed but said, "The FBI needs the full list of illegal clients and transactions. Without that, we can't move." Mitch promised to get everything soon. At home, Abby was scared. "When will we leave?" she asked. Mitch replied, "Very soon. One last step, and we're gone." Mitch knew time was running out fast. If the firm suspected anything, he wouldn't survive. Chapter 25. No more time. Mitch knew he was out of time. The firm was watching him closely, and the FBI was pressuring him to deliver the final documents. He had to act fast. One night, Abby packed their bags. She asked, "Are we really leaving?" Mitch nodded. "Tomorrow we make our move." Meanwhile, Devasher received a report. "McDeer is behaving strangely. He might try to run." Nathan Locke ordered, "If he does, stop him. Permanently." Mitch went to the firm's records room and copied the final set of files, a full list of illegal clients and money transfers. He placed them in a secret locker. The next morning, he called Terrence. "I have everything. It's time." Mitch was ready to escape, but so was the firm. One wrong move, and he was dead.